Hi, good morning. It's Tuesday. There's a new card coming out today, but we're not going to talk about that. We're going to do this semi-clickbait title to talk about the Ghost rework and why it's so bad. The reason why I'm saying it might be a little bit of clickbait is I'm not saying that the rework to Ghost was bad, even though I don't like it at all. I think that just why they made the change to Ghost, right? Why they did this rework to her is bad. It's really bad. And it's this pattern that Second Dinner has had for a while where they're not addressing the problem. They're trying to find other things that they could do and not worry about this brand new car so that they don't hurt the people who just spent money on it, right? So let's have a talk about it, a conversation. Let's get into it. I don't know what the cool algorithm words are to make this pop, but let's just get into this whole conversation. First, let's just talk about how Second Dinner did a great job fixing a problem. Not where a card was like broken, but it was actually breaking the game, and that was with Kitty Pryde. March 27th, 2023, she was supposed to be released, and she was. And you can return this card to your hand to get +2 power. So it was optional. Think of like an activate card. So you would play her, and then you would click her or something. I never had her in this state, so I don't know. So you would bring her back to your hand, and she would get the +2 power. Not really very different from what she is now, which is when this returns to your hand, +2 power returns at the start of each turn. So you had an option before, and then it was automatic. She was crashing games. This got Second Dinner to disable Kitty Pryde. Then they gave everybody Kitty Pryde because of this. And then they refunded the players who did get Kitty Pryde, which was a great way to handle this type of situation. Right? So what about a card that is broken where it's a very negative play experience for everybody? This was what Spider-Man was a while ago. So what people would do is they would wave on 3, then Galactus on 4, and Spider-Man on 5. And Spider-Man wasn't the current Spider-Man we know now. His old ability was he was a 5/4. On reveal, your opponent can't play cards to this location next turn. So on turn 6, you as the person who's playing Spider-Man would be able to play whatever you wanted while your opponent just sat there and either hit retreat or thought maybe for some chance they could actually win. This is a horrible play experience. Spider-Man was already causing a couple issues before Galactus, but once this came out and more people were using it, it became incredibly toxic and just a very, very negative play experience for everybody. So Second Dinner went and they completely reworked the card. There's nothing similar about the new Spider-Man from the last Spider-Man. They made him a 3/5 on reveal, move to another location and pull an enemy card from here to there. Now he's a 2/4. They buffed him. I think he's better that way, my opinion. But this is still a complete rework of a card. They have not done this at all until Ghost. And if there is, I tried to do some research into other card reworks, the way that they've changed cards. But when I say a card has had like a rework, I mean there's really no resemblance at all from the new card to the old card. An example would be Crystal. Crystal used to be, when you play this to the center location, shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 3 new cards. Now she's just wherever you play her that you and your opponent both draw a card. So even though it is like a very different card, it is still card draw. That part of her is still there. Quake used to be center location, swap the other 2, and now it's play at any location and swap the other 2. Change, but like that. But this one was a complete overhaul of Spider-Man, because Spider-Man, the problem in the Wave Galactus Spider-Man combo wasn't Wave, it wasn't Galactus, it was Spider-Man. And I think if Spider-Man was a brand new Series 5 card, that Wave and Galactus would be the ones to get changed in this situation. Why do I believe that? Let's just go to Arishem. Arishem, you're not fixing the problem, you're changing the other cards. Loki has had again, this is a big rework to Loki, but it's still the whole changing cards and -1 cost. They changed Blob so that, and this is the second change to Blob, where he used to absorb your entire deck, and then they put a power limit on him. and Dr. Octopus, who I loved playing Dr. Octopus. I would lose so many times, but it was just so much fun to play him. They changed it from pulling one card to from pulling 4 cards down to 1 card. So the issue with Arishem was originally, if you don't remember, was he was a 7/7. You would shuffle 12 cards into your deck, and you would have +1 power. So on turn 1, you would have 2 power. 2 energy. From the get-go, that's crazy. Absolutely insane. It was broken. It was causing so many issues, and Arishem decks were running rampant. I really enjoy the idea of Arishem and what he does when there's this random thing where someone can just get 1 card and have access to all this other stuff. I thought that was great, but starting off with 1 energy was definitely a big problem. So instead of changing that, what they did was they changed Loki, they changed Blob, they changed Dr. Octopus. I also think White Widow, that the change to her was also in relation to this as well. So they're changing all these other cards, but they're not changing the problem of Arishem. And I think the reason why was because Arishem was a brand new Series 5 card. People spent their resources on it. They didn't want to upset the people who actually purchased it. So instead, they're hurting everybody else, the people who love these other cards, and not addressing the problem itself. And it continued to go until 5 months after release in December, they finally changed him to, on turn 3, you get +1 max energy. I made a video very soon after Arishem came out, like the Arishem problem and ways that people could, or ways that Second Dinner could change him. And they all revolved around getting that extra energy on turn 3, whether it was automatic, like they did eventually change it to, or if he was a 3 cost card where you have to play him and his on reveal was +1 max energy, right? Something like that, because Luna Snow on turn 3, or she's a 3 cost, that's how you get +1 energy. Corvus Glaive, 3 cost, +1 energy. Electro, 3 cost, +1 energy. So all these cards that would give you this +1 max energy, they all happen on turn 3 because it's just very unfair. So it was a very easy and obvious solution of like what Second Dinner had to do. But they were, in my opinion, very dumb how they handled this whole Arishem situation. And they didn't change Arishem himself for months and months and just let this problem linger because they didn't want to address the problem directly. Let's move on to today. Today, it's an end of turn meta issue. Invisible Woman, lots of Fs are happening with her. How crazy Invisible Woman is, and especially when it's paired up with Prodigy, who Prodigy before Invisible Woman was an okay card, not really great, had some issues, but with Invisible Woman, we all have suffered from this absolutely BS end of turn meta issue. So the problem with this is Invisible Woman, or it's Prodigy with Invisible Woman, but the main person is, right now, Invisible Woman. She's the problem. She's causing all these issues. Okay? So what do? They go and they completely rework Ghost. Why? There was no reason to do this. Oh, it says Ghost got an exorcism. I put down they killed Ghost, and Tori goes, well, why would they kill Ghost when Ghost is a ghost and you can't kill Ghost? I go, all right, fine. And she said, well, what about something else? We agreed, exorcism. So thank you, Tori, for the Ghost got an exorcism joke. Comment down below and subscribe and like this video if you agree that my wife is funny. This is a funny joke. Yes. So she got a complete rework, Ghost. And a while ago, when Ghost was made a 3/5, originally she was a 1/2, and then they made her a 3/5. And the reasoning I was reading behind it, it was just how they wanted to see how she did with different stats because she wasn't performing too well. I still didn't understand the reasoning, like why they did it. It was dumb, absolutely dumb. And they said, well, we're thinking about doing possible reworks to her to make her more appealing. But in the meantime, what we're going to do is we're just going to change her from a 1/2 to a 3/5, which I hated it. If you are going and you are giving up priority automatically, this should be a 1 or a 2 cost max. A 3 cost? Dumb. Stupid and dumb. Beside the point. But this change that they made was just like, why? Why would you make a change like this other than you were desperate to kill the end of turn meta? You had to do something to make some people think you're actually addressing the problem. And you're like, okay, well, what cards are we looking at to make a change to? Ghost? Sure. Let's just have Ghost do this. I can almost guarantee you that the first time they thought about changing Ghost to remove the abilities of all end of turn cards here wasn't until like a week after Invisible Woman came out, until they saw how big of an issue this was. And instead of actually fixing the problem itself, they just said, okay, let's just change this card that is a very unique ability that has a very, very, very low play rate, and just get rid of her instead of making a new card or getting rid of or trying to address Invisible Woman herself. Right? It's not a good practice to do. And then they also changed Havoc, where he gets less power, but he starts off with one more. Like, that's still not the problem. That's still not the problem, because if you do the Invisible Woman Prodigy thing, he's still gonna end up with like 13 or 17 power, right? He's still gonna be massive. So what does this actually do? Invisible Woman is still a problem. Still a problem. So I think this is just more of a bad precedent to what Second Dinner is doing, especially in the future. They're coming out with all these cards. How many cards have they come out with so far this month? Like 7? I don't even know how many total are coming out. Like 8, 9, 10? Don't know. Off the top of my head, I do not know. But you're telling me that you have all these cards coming out, especially this one card where they delayed it because it was so bad, and they said, oh, it was a memo error. No one believes that. The card sucked. Just be honest with it, okay? You're already doing with this stuff. That if there ever is a problem with a meta that they don't want to address the problem itself because it's a brand new card and people spend money on it and they don't want to upset those people, that they're just going to take a card that is not getting enough play and then changing that card or changing other cards like Havoc that aren't the problem. Fix the problem, Second Dinner, please. The best thing that Second Dinner could probably do right now is everybody should get this Cosmo variant. They should put this in the game and everybody should get it. And will that fix the end of turn meta? No. But I think a lot more people would be happy if Jameson as Cosmo was there. Guys, thank you so much. Let me know your thoughts on this. What change do you think they should have made to this whole end of turn meta? Are you also seeing the problem that they aren't addressing the problems directly? That they're just fixing adjacent cards but not the problem itself, along with bullshit excuses? Because I hate the excuses that they're doing for it. This whole thing made me upset. That's it. Guys, have a great day. Please like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later.